Let me explain. Let me explain something. Check this out.
You've got to be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change.
Check this out.
Well, welcome everyone to NumisMeeting number 2. This is our bi-weekly community update. Same as last episode, we're currently focused as a project and also within this NumisMeeting on phase 1 of our 4-phase roadmap. I'm joined here by Mr. and Misam. Mr. Would you like to kick us off with some of the project updates?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Pap. I gotta say, man, your silky smooth voice is a real comfort to listen to. I hope to one day sound like you on the microphone.
You just buy $150 mic.
Oh, it's that easy?
I sound like Mike Tyson normally. This is not a real voice.
You got the Pappy filter. I love it. Okay, so why don't we just kick things off real quick? So following on NumisMeeting 1, we kind of gave everybody a little bit of a heads up of what's going on in phase 1 of our roadmap, right? And we mentioned, things are being developed, things are being tested, we're working out some of the bugs, gave a little bit of alpha as far as what's like just around the corner in terms of things like our self-repaying loans. So kind of following up on that, we are nearing the end of our testing phase for our DeFi launch. With that, we promised that there would be a new UI and there would be all kinds of tokenomics incentives to interact with the protocol. In addition to that, one of the things that we've been working on is to revamp our NumisMe.io website. The first point that I want to update on is the website. So the website is up and the website has been refreshed. It's a pretty big departure from what we had before. It's kind of speaking to the larger vision that this new NumisMe represents. It's the digitization of your loose change. It's the onboarding of retail capital through our mobile app. And now we have a suite of DeFi services, right? A suite of financial services built on the backbone of DeFi infrastructure that we need to communicate to anybody interested in joining the project and investing in the project. So the new NumisMe.io does speak to that full breadth of vision that we're executing currently. That's a nice little milestone that we've accomplished. Again, NumisMe.io is refreshed. And in fact, anybody that goes to the NumisMe.com will also be seeing essentially the same webpage. They're mirrors of each other. It's the same content. It's anybody that happens to stumble upon the .com won't be confused. And that's the intent, right? We did secure both domains, and both domains are live. We realize there is a little bit of a opportunity for confusion across both websites. So what we wanted to do was make sure that without hurting SEO, that we do make sure that the content on both domains is accurate and up to date. So we've accomplished that as well. Where we stand as far as our testing is we are in the final stretches. There's the vaults that are being tested. There are the rewards, the emissions that are being tested. I'm sure folks are definitely eager to hear updates about the token swap. That is being tested as well. I'm happy to report that on multiple fronts, testing is looking really good right now. That doesn't mean that we're not going to stumble upon more bugs as we fix the remaining bugs. That's just kind of the nature of software development, right? You squash one bug and 2 others pop up. Is kind of the joke, but it's really, the joke is there for a reason, right? That does tend to happen. So, testing is looking really promising, especially on the token swap side. So that should be coming very shortly. Once we're past the testing milestone, we'll be doing a final review. We'll prep for launch, and we'll give the community a heads up as far as what that launch timing guidance looks like ahead of launch. So I can't promise what the lead time on that would be, but we do want to give the community, everybody listening to this call, both live and after the fact through the recording, we do want to make sure that we take care of the community. The community is our lifeblood. they're our supporters and the most loyal amongst the entirety of DeFi. So we want to make sure that we treat the community with respect, but also treat them a little bit preferentially, right? Give them the heads up of when launch is coming ahead of anybody else knowing. So to that end, we are closing out or actually delivering on phase 1 in pretty short order. So, please do stand by for more updates on that. That pretty much is our phase 1 project update.
Thank you, sir. I'm pretty happy about the revamped website. It's looking pretty good. You guys should definitely check it out. One of the things I love is the bright colors, because it's like my other favorite project in the space, Bananos. The next thing that we're going to talk about, this is one that I have, along with the TISC. We've been planning a new community contest. This one is going to be to design, really just to do a graphic design of your choice. We want you to be creative, but obviously we want it to be themed for NumisMe, to design something for clothing. And this is not focused to just one thing, not just a hoodie, not just a hat, but to anything, or maybe to a specific thing. If you have a really great idea for a hat that doesn't necessarily translate to a shirt, well, you're going to be able to submit that. There'll be different options for different articles of clothing, and then we will select our favorite choices. The community will be the deciding vote on this. So details on that are going to be coming out soon. I always enjoy these. I love the creative contests. That's when you find out that you just have a ton of really talented artists hiding in the community that, they're just waiting for something like this. And speaking of community events, I'm not going to say much about this, but I'm going to say that we have been dropping secret bounties across our social media presence. These bounties will lead to rewards in Noom tokens, and some of these are pretty spicy rewards. I don't know, mister. I almost want to say more, but I think I'm going to hold back and just let folks try and figure it out.
I think spicy is good enough. Nice and spicy rewards for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Design contest, actually, like you're saying, Pap, it's the creative talent that's in the community is really, it's really impressive, right? And we've been seeing a lot of community members just of their own accord, on their own volition, just creating content. It's certainly really great to see that engagement, and it's really so heartwarming to see that kind of support and that excitement from the community. At the end of the day, contributors should be rewarded. Contributors should be compensated in some form, right? And like you're saying, Pep, some nice spicy bounties, some spicy incentives for contributing to the project, I think are definitely well worth it.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Popey, who put together some really fun little videos that we're going to be using on TikTok. And he was rewarded for it. So this is the other half of this is, one, of course, we want to see positive contributions. We love seeing memes, videos, music, whatever it might be. Just doing it because you love to do it, because you love the project and the community. We also do have some bounties out there because we can use some of that type of content, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok. I need all the help I can get. So when we post the meeting minutes, we'll post a couple highlights from this into Twitter and Facebook afterwards. We'll include the link to our bounty board. And don't be shy about reaching out and asking about any of those bounties. Those are all things that we do need help with. We're very, very, very busy. The market might be a little bit, macro picture might be a little bit down and bearish, but that doesn't matter to us. We and especially the devs are heads down working. So the next thing is the game nights. So the game nights are game nights, right? We really truly can play any game, but it seems we found a fan favorite. A lot of folks have been turning up for poker. We decided that we're going to try and plan a proper mini tournament, brackets and everything. We're actually going to reach out to a few other communities in the space and try to get something together. Maybe like the 2022 DeFi poker tournament. You got to find a little bit of stress relief and fun in this space when the market is the way it is, or I should say inflation is the way it is. I know, Mister, I don't know about you, but every day the wife comes home, she's reminding me how much gas has gone up since yesterday. It's like every day it goes up a little bit more. It's really
isn't that nice? It's definitely inflation and the bear market kind of almost these days kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, I totally agree. It's a nice little stress reliever. I personally love poker. Whatever games are the best fit for game night, we can definitely do it. But I'm really excited about this poker tournament. The stress relief. Sure, we'll all get on voice and chat it out. There's a little bit of smack talk going on. Of course, it's a poker table after all, but really it's the community vibe, right? It's just being able to put a voice to some of these anonymous internet handles or these anonymous Discord and Telegram handles, that it really does help to connect us all, right? Especially during times that may be a little bit tough, right? It is a bit of a red day today. It definitely helps to have other folks that are not just in the same boat, but also excited for the future of DeFi, excited for the future of NumisMe, to really be able to talk to, right, and bond with. And I really enjoy that quite a bit. Just a quick little point of clarification. This tournament, it's important that folks know we are not playing with real money. We are playing with free chips on the app. And so it's all fake money that we're playing with. It's all make believe, but the prizes are real, right? The prize pot will be real, and that will be in the form of Noom tokens. I think maybe we'll just hold off on announcing the size of the prize pot, but if that's okay with you, Mr. Pappy. But yeah, that one should be spicy too.
Yes, sir. So kind of following that whole topic of, hey, we want to make things a little more fun, given the macro picture. We also want to include on these Numis meetings a little bit of a market update. And you'll see this also on Twitter and Facebook every week. We will post up at least once just a kind of macro market picture with a little bit of information about stuff that's going on that might affect you and your money. Because at the end of the day, NumisMe isn't just about, hey, I want to buy some Noom tokens and make some money down the road when the project takes off. It's so much more than that. And I think everyone that's listening understands. Everyone that's listening here, you are early, and you understand the vision and the value prospect, what we want to achieve with NumisMe by enabling that financial sovereignty through the NumisMe app. It's still important to understand all the other things going on in the market. Mister, I think we'll just kind of do a quick recap. Today, as you mentioned, a lot of things are red. The reason for that is the monthly report, the Consumer Price Index that the U.S. government puts out, that came out, and unfortunately it said that inflation is up from last month. So setting new records here, just not the records we want to set. What that means also, based on the jobs report that came out a few weeks ago, the combination of factors there makes it likely that the U.S. Fed is going to be potentially more aggressive about raising rates, which in turn can have a bearish effect on things like stocks or the crypto market. So that's what happened today. At the same time, I think just 2 days ago, the European Central Bank also acknowledged for the first time in, 11 years? Or at least a decade, that they're going to raise rates because inflation is also setting records over there. And a little bit more fun, though, Ethereum took another step towards moving to proof of stake. So for those who follow crypto and follow the space, that's really exciting. I believe we're about 2 months away from Ethereum launching fully to proof of stake. Basically meaning instead of having that very energy intensive proof of work model, same as Bitcoin, they will then be proof of stake, which is a low energy alternative to these layer one chains like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add there, Misam or Mister, but from a market perspective, I think that hits the high points.
you mentioned that all the pressures that the market is under right now, right? And I think it's important to remind folks when we do these calls, whenever you hear us talk about a bear market, it's definitely not easy, but our tone, I don't know if folks that are listening have noticed, but hopefully the tone is apparent. It is certainly how I personally feel, and our tone has kind of been a little bit not really too worried about the bear market, right? And I know different folks are in different situations, and there are going to be a lot of different considerations as far as how a bear market is impacting different folks. But the reason that we're not so overly concerned about the bear market really is because the bear market is also an opportunity. We did mention previously how building during a bear market is how truly great projects are created, right? All the great, blue chips out there, all the biggest protocols, they were all formed and forged in bear markets, right? And the building that happens and the preparing for the next bull run, there's that aspect to it too. It's important to reinforce the way that NumisMe will work is if we can deliver and we will deliver yield in all market conditions, right? And because of that, we do have a real focus on things like, for example, making sure that we support as many stable coins as possible, because that is an earning opportunity too, right? There are going to be a lot of folks out there that have capitulated, have sold their assets, and maybe have rotated into stables. And we want to make sure that we provide yield for those folks with the recent, fall of some of the greatest stablecoin yields out there. I won't name protocol names specifically here, but I think everyone can well guess kind of who we're talking about here. And with that, it is that much more important that there is a service out there that can still deliver that yield. So for folks that are rotated into stables currently, we are really, really keen on delivering stablecoin yields. And for the folks that we're talking to that are less speculative, less day trader status, and more looking to hold on to their assets, we also want to enable them to be able to earn on their assets too, right? So we'll have different kinds of vaults, we'll have different kinds of yield earning potentials for various asset classes. And that's what really excites me, right? Because a bear market doesn't mean that you have to sell. A bear market doesn't mean that you have to, just kind of like hunker down and prepare to not earn anything on your assets. That is where truly great protocols shine, right? Not just from a building perspective, but from the ability to differentiate ourselves from some of the other protocols and projects that maybe their APRs have dipped, right? Maybe emissions have been turned down. Maybe it's going into tail emissions phase, right? There are all these projects out there that really, because they are so reliant on emitting just their native token, it causes an extreme amount of sell pressure on the token. And in a bear market, that pressure is just amplified. And so because we are sharing revenue in non-native token, that gives us a truly compelling differentiation from other protocols that only emit, only reward in their native token. And so really, in whatever market conditions, we are delivering that yield. We are going to be able to reward and incentivize, protocol users and our supporters in the form of non-native token rewards in that revenue share that we keep mentioning for locking, for staking your NUM. Really focus on making sure that we cater to as many folks, whether they're sitting on the sidelines with their dry powder, right, in the form of stables, or they're holding on for dear life, right, onto their BTC or their ETH or whatever assets out there. We may not support all the assets, but we do want to be able to serve as many different audiences, as many different types of users out there. That's what gets me excited. It's really that focus for us on making sure that we are positioned not just for the near term, but that we're well positioned to be able to deliver that value. And like you said, Pat, to help folks achieve that sovereignty over their own wealth, help them achieve that true financial independence. That is our mission. That is one of our missions, right? And that's really what we wake up for every day, and that's what gets me excited, at least.
Yeah, to me, that's the only mission. Everything else is a lot of fun, but to achieve financial sovereignty, and especially depends on the country you live in and your particular, personal life, I guess your status in life and the conditions in which you live. This potentially is a game changer, right? The Web 3.0, the DeFi space, and the things that we're trying to achieve with the NumisMe, these can change people's lives, and I've seen it change people's lives. And that's what we want to do. I like how you frame that really bear markets are for investing. That is where you make the money. You don't want to wait for the bull market and then buy in, because by then most of your gains have already been had on any sort of speculative investment, right? You buy, or is it Warren Buffett that says you buy when markets are red or when there's blood on the street? One of the little known stories. So the number one DeFi protocol out there right now in terms of total value locked, I forget how many billions they have, right? Aave, they launched it peak bear market a couple months before the lowest price, the deepest part of 2018's bear market for crypto. They launched basically into that. And today they're the number one. In terms of size, they're the number one DeFi protocol. So it just goes to show you what having a solid roadmap with a solid team that's consistently head down working in these kind of macro market conditions, what they can achieve. And that's exactly where we're going to go and what we're going to try to achieve for ourselves, right? Enough pontificating there on bear markets.
I like how you implied that we are a solid team because you are part of that team. It's a little bit patting ourselves on the back, but all jokes aside, we do have a really compelling roadmap, and our vision is grand, right? And the great thing is, the more I work with you all, the more it's becoming apparent that we are the team to execute on this. Maybe I'm patting myself on the back and patting Mr. Pap on the back, as well as the rest of the team here, but the confidence level just every day, whether we're building new things, whether we're squashing bugs, or whether we're out there talking to folks in terms of partnerships and, different deals that can be made between traditional institutions or DeFi projects at large, it's becoming more and more apparent that we are set up to be that new, right? We are set up to really take advantage of the next bull run. But that doesn't mean that we can't be wildly successful in this current, bit of a bear market that we're in. And so, yeah, nice pat on the back for you, Mr. Pap. And I guess I'll just pat myself and Misam and Aaron, everybody else on the back.
Everyone gets one. Everyone gets one. If you're still, this is what I always say, if you're still here, it doesn't matter if you're trading stocks, if you're trading crypto, whatever you're doing. If you are still here and you are focused on that long-term vision, in whatever you're invested in, whatever you believe in, you're going to make it. You're going to be successful. It's the people that get to this point and they let that fear of the unknown overwhelm them. And, I feel bad. I understand fear is very tangible, especially when my gas prices are as high as they are. Right. But you got to think long term. No one gets rich overnight. No one's successful overnight, and financial sovereignty isn't built overnight. Before we go to this part, I guess I should ask. There was two things I wanted to do. One, we have the Q&A at the end of each of these, or the community can ambush us with any questions you have, and we'll be forced to answer them, hopefully eloquently. But also, Mister, do you think it would be worthwhile just to spend a minute recapping our roadmap a little bit? I was looking at the roadmap, the 4 phases, and I feel like I don't know that we've revisited that in a minute. And
that's a great idea. And just to reiterate the call for questions, if anybody has any questions that is listening live, please do post them in the Discord, and we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to answer those questions. To Mr. Pap's point, the roadmap that we've outlined, hopefully, folks are familiar with it. Just to kind of recap, right? We are in phase 1 of a 4-phase roadmap currently. And the phase 1 milestone is basically defined by our successful transition into this larger new NumisMe, right? It is getting past the y-axis merger. It is getting the token swap live. Those are things that certain folks are really keen on getting. It is so much more than that. It's bringing our DeFi products online. It's getting our, for example, here's a little bit of a, I guess, alpha, just following last week's alpha on the self-repaying loans. We are considering launching our self-repaying loans in phase 1 or shortly thereafter. Maybe we can call it kind of a phase 1.5 deliverable. But we're looking, all that said, we're looking to make sure that we have vaults live, that we have liquidity provider incentives, so that anybody that's looking to become a liquidity provider, which is to say, looking to provide that liquidity in Uniswap for folks to trade in our Noom ETH pool, we'll be incentivizing those folks, getting our Noom staking live as well. That's all part of phase 1 here. One of the deliverables on phase 1 is that revamped NumisMe.io, which is now live. Which isn't to say that it's locked in stone, right? That NumisMe.io webpage, the landing page, it will continue to evolve, right? We'll continue to optimize it. We'll continue to change it and update the text as it is, as we continue down our roadmap. But that is pretty much what phase 1 represents. Now, phase 2 represents the new, right? It's the new NumisMe. It's our new vaults. It's making sure that we are set up for being able to share non-native token revenue share. Phase 2 is basically going to bring online the next version of our vaults, right? The current version of our vaults should be very familiar to anybody that has been following us from the y-axis days, and it certainly should be familiar to anybody that's been using DeFi for a minute. Those vaults are architected in a fairly standard way that a lot of different projects use, right, for their own vault architecture. What we're doing for phase 2 is we're building a new vault architecture that will allow folks to deposit any asset within a certain asset class and not have to worry about, going into Curve and depositing there, getting the LP token and then bring it in back to us and staking that LP token into a vault that's specifically just for that one strategy, that one yield strategy. What we're building are true canonical vaults. And what that means is our vaults from phase 2 onwards will be multi-asset, multi-strategy. Now, I kind of spoke to that multi-asset part just at the top of my little spiel here. But, what that means is, take, for example, our stablecoin vault. Our stablecoin vault will not be asset specific. It will be multi-asset, which means that folks can bring their USDC, their USDT, their DAI, their MIM, potentially their FRAX, and definitely not UST. Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. But they'll be able to deposit whichever one of those stable coins that they hold. And what our vault will do is convert that asset, convert it and wrap it as needed to deploy that asset into the current yield strategy that vault is deployed into. And so that's the multi-asset part of the new vaults, right? We'll be able to take your DAI, your USDT, USDC, MIM, perhaps FRAX, and convert it on behalf of the user. So from a user experience standpoint, that's a huge benefit, right? Now, where it gets super cool is, on top of being multi-asset, our vaults from phase 2 onwards will be multi-strategy. So what that means is, when we see a new yield opportunity, right? When there's an opportunity for a new yield strategy that perhaps is delivering higher yield, more APR, or maybe it's a little bit deeper liquidity, or perhaps we see some risk with the current yield strategy. What we can do with the new phase 2 vaults is the vault itself can redeploy into a new yield strategy. So it's basically a vault that switches strategies on behalf of the user. And when a strategy is switched, we withdraw on behalf of the user all assets that are deployed into that current yield strategy. We unwrap, we swap, and we convert it into whatever asset that we need to deploy into that next yield strategy. If you picture at the top, you have all these different kinds of stable coins going into the vault, and then you have the vault in the middle doing its thing. And below the vault, you have all these different yield strategies that you can plug into. What we're doing is we're accepting all kinds of assets into the vault, and then the vault can switch between all kinds of yield strategies. So it really does represent what I think is not just unique, but is the best user experience out there. It's truly a set it and forget it approach to passive income. No matter what asset you have, no matter what yield strategy is currently deployed, you can rest assured knowing that you deposit once and the protocol will handle everything for you. We will handle the swapping, the conversion, the wrapping of your asset to take advantage of the yield strategy. We'll handle the monitoring and the risk management in terms of identifying, which yield strategies are best, which are at risk, so on and so forth. And we will handle the rotating of your assets into those new yield strategies. Because think of it from solo yield farmer perspective, right? You're sitting there, you're thinking, oh man, I have to make this decision. I only have so much capital. I only have so much of this asset. What do I do with it? Okay, maybe I'll go chase this one yield strategy. And turns out, okay, a few months down the line, few weeks down the line, sometimes days down the line, oh, well, the APR's dropped and or that certain project that I'm using seems a little risky now. Great. So now not only did I have to spend time monitoring all the different aspects of different projects and everything associated with that particular yield strategy, but now I have to incur that anxiety. I have to take on the stress of not knowing if if I'm going to continue to earn that yield. And then I have to take on the additional, burden of having to spend the time, spend the money to unwind my positions, spend more time identifying a new yield strategy for myself, and then spend more time and money to go deploy into that and making all the calculations on my own. We're trying to make it so that a solo yield farmer doesn't have to worry about any of that anymore going forward. And so in the near term, our phase one vaults will deliver yield as they have been delivering under the Y-axis umbrella for quite some time. And from phase two onward, we're really focused on delivering these new vaults that should make for like I said, a truly compelling, but also really unique user experience within DeFi. So also in phase two, to kind of round that out, we're developing an analytics dashboard. We put the rebuilt mobile app, or the mobile app that is currently being rebuilt, I should say. That is a phase two deliverable as well. Really trying to chase down our institutional partnerships to offer our ability to generate yield as a service to different firms that have capital, that are looking to put their capital to work, but just don't have either the risk tolerance and or the technical competence to understand how to put their assets to work. That's something we're actively chasing down. So that's all in phase two. Now, phase three is really closing in on that true, fully realized future vision of NumisMe, where we not only have our DeFi suite, our DeFi underpinnings, and our mobile app that'll allow retail consumers to take advantage of the high APRs that are available in DeFi that are made possible through our vaults, but we'll also be delivering the digital loose change technology, which is to say, being able to go to a merchant and instead of getting your cash change in fiat, instead of getting a few bills and some coins back, to get it back into your app. Finally, making that full vision a reality for NumisMe. So that includes like merchant partner integrations, right? We need our fiat and crypto rails in place, and we want to make sure that we have our in-store infrastructure all shored up. we are looking to talk to these in-store kiosks as potential partners as well. Won't speak too much on that as it's a little too early, but that's something that we're targeting for phase 3. Now for phase 4, that is what we're calling our long-term milestone. And phase 4 will evolve over time. Phase 4 will evolve not just with market conditions, but with conversations that we're having with partners, the realities of the tech that we're building along the way. Currently, we have phase 4 spec'd to have, mobile payments from the app, for example, to get a debit card so it's easier to spend with, right? For folks that are using our services, but maybe they go into a store that doesn't accept, right? Doesn't work with our mobile app. And so that's where the debit card would come into place. And then things like budgeting tools, things like insurance, right? But again, these are stretch goals. And phase 4 will evolve. So I can say for a certainty, there aren't very many certainties in DeFi, but with this, there is the certainty that phase 4, as it's currently outlined, will look different by the time we get to phase 4. And in fact, there's a chance that phase 4 may be broken up into subsequent phases as well. This is our roadmap for this point in time, phase 1 through 4. That doesn't mean that once we get to phase 4, it's all done and we stop building. We'll always be building. And so with that, I think that's hopefully shed some good light on, the way we're thinking through our roadmap.
And actually, a lot of people, we put this out, but if you didn't catch it, the Git book is published and live, and it has this roadmap. It has a lot of other information, such as team breakdown, list of devs, all the links if you want to go buy some Noom, if you want to check out our Twitter, tokenomics, all of the above. So it's all in Gitbook.
Oh, speaking of tokenomics, you can even look up the contract addresses for all our smart contracts that we'll be using in very short order. And that just kind of brings us back to where we are in phase 1. We are so close to delivering on phase 1 to the point where we already have our smart contracts live and deployed, right? And I think that, having access and that transparency into all the different smart contracts we use is really, it's not for everybody to kind of dive into this kind of information, but for the folks that are interested, I think, what we're trying to do is build that trust through that transparency and make sure that folks understand just how our technology is working. Again, if it is for you, right? If it is, if you're more on the techie side, if you're able to understand and read smart contracts, please do give the Gitbook a read. You can access it through NumisMe.io. You can go directly to it, but if you go to NumisMe.io and you click the Learn More button, right at the top of the fold there, it'll take you into our Gitbook. And that's where you'll see all the documentation that Mr. Pappy has just outlined.
And with that, we'll move to the Q&A. But looking at the Telegram and Discord, I do see some great memes, which I love. Love that Batman one, is fantastic. But I don't see any questions, so I would open it up. I know Misam's been quiet. I don't know if he has anything he'd like to add.
I was just enjoying your nice voice and Mr.'s voice. I was just enjoying the ride. Somehow I pushed myself up onto the stage. I wanted to stand. Okay. I will speak to the fact that I absolutely, just a couple of comments, love the fact that DeFi is something that can deliver when the market's up or the market's down, because yield is yield. So if you're working on a project, you get your yield regardless of market up and down. Of course, you want to time when you want to sell your coins, if so, but yield is yield. So I love that fact where we're all trying to bring that financial sovereignty back to an individual scale where it's not behind all kinds of red tape and the one top 2% or whatever have control over it. So that's really beautiful on that side. Love that idea that even on our NumisMe.io, it says that, it's always bright with NumisMe, because we can deliver during the bear market and the bull market both ways. Of course, we all want the bull market, but you also have to have a setup that is performing, because it's best even during a down market, because it's just based on a certain strategy and a structure, and yield will deliver regardless. service on that strategy side. But what other thing that I also like is which goes into our phase 3 side of it, that eventually we get to a point where we're not even dependent on the market, because we would probably become the first crypto project, DeFi project, or amongst the first that would have a genuine retail, real life utility in place, where all of a sudden we have, and we're actively working on those things right now, where eventually we are getting into a point where we have a fully functional relationship with big box stores and ushering in what I call Market 2.0, where people can truly start digitizing their physical cash, which is coming. We're all moving in that direction. It's beautiful that we're pioneering that way, where pay with your physical cash, and your physical change comes back to you electronically, and then it goes into our app, and from our app they can guide it back into their ecosystem, whether it moves it back to their bank account or peer-to-peer, kind of like other cash apps that are out there. But then, of course, the highlighting and the convenience and the ease, that money that is just purely retail, and that's mostly people that have just sort of heard about crypto, and now it's right at their within, and it's utilizing a service that everyone's using now because they're digitizing their change. So now highlighting it that, hey, how awesome it is if you want to you've always thought about crypto, press this one button and convert your funds into the Noom coin. And then, and if you're going to do that, now you're in crypto, welcome. And it was just one click of a button. And then if you put it into your quote unquote DeFi savings account that we're providing, earn a ridiculous amount of interest on your deposited funds, as Mr. puts it, would make your regular centralized bank jealous. So if that becomes a popular motive, it really starts making sense to people. Then you've got a ton of adoption coming into crypto, especially to those guys that don't know much about crypto. We've made it so simplified for them, and we're giving them an earning that makes a lot more sense than the funds just sitting in a regular bank. We use the fiat rail system of digitizing cash, which is coming. Eventually, we are all realizing that physical cash and loose change and coins are becoming, I love saying this word, more and more of a vestigial organ. That also secretly puts us in a really beautiful place where if the market does even go up and down, a lot of these crypto projects suffer because you're kind of stuck with what the market's going to do. If it's going to go, Bitcoin's going to go up, then everyone's going to go up. If Bitcoin's going to go down, then everyone's going to go down. If our project, especially with our reflection system that we've got in, is a volume-based setup, which supports the project itself just by volume activity. And then furthermore, the retail ramp over here creates a situation of bringing more adoption in, and by pioneering that, it funnels through us first until later on maybe other systems come into play, but we bring it to the table first. So many different multi-dimensional angles of the project supporting itself. And if this works, that's the grand vision. I don't know how we're not the number one coin behind Bitcoin or Ethereum. So I'll take number 3. So I love that what we're trying to do. And I also wanted to kind of add to that pat on the back that we were all talking about. Love our team. Some of our team is here. There's so much more of our team that's in the background, that's not here, that's working diligently. We've created a beautiful project. We've audited it. We've gotten ourselves on, because of us doing everything correctly in the right way, we've put ourselves in CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko. We have our GitHub up. We were announced on Binance Official on how to purchase Noom. We're on Crypto.com on how to purchase Noom. And Coinbase wallet properly shows how for you to be able to, and we're showing on their Oracle streams on how to purchase Noom through our Uniswap setup, which is really cool because now we're in all those oracles, we're getting officially recognized, and all this very quickly we've achieved these things. So it's super cool. And when we're ready for an exchange listing, we'd already have all the positions in place and the relationships already kind of created for us to shift in that direction. With that said, so I'm really happy with what we're doing and how fast we're moving, and then eventually our swaps and our DeFi functions will start working. We'll get busy really quick once that starts flowing on the volume side of it. And then of course we've got really good marketing ideas that we've planned and we're working on. And the last thought that I have is you were talking about, Poppy, about the Bitcoin thing. What I'm really hoping for, of course, you're more of an expert on this, but this is just my desire and hope that that we keep talking about this Bitcoin singularity event. I think there was two of them. There was one singularity event, so to call it that, when Bitcoin finally earned its right and crypto as a general earned its right to actually be recognized as something that matters, and it started moving in flow with the general market, like stock exchanges, Dow and stuff. And so it coupled with it. Before it was not coupled, it was no one. But then it coupled, and that's itself speaking volumes. But this next time, with the way that inflation's going and instability in the markets, I just see that there's a possibility that it decouples for the positive, and where people start realizing that, hey, wealth anywhere else is faltering except for crypto or Bitcoin. And so then it just becomes a mad rush, and then it just compounds the effect, and you've got your singularity event where now Bitcoin is moving and crypto is moving on up because it's just the next step of the evolution. Whether anything else is moving up or down, it doesn't even matter to it anymore. What do you think about that? Is that possibly coming?
I think it's an inevitability. It's just a matter of time.
Agreed.
You know,
When decoupling.
and you mentioned wanting to be number 3. I just always love doing this kind of math. Let's just theorize. Let's say one day we hit the number 3 market cap out of all crypto projects, discounting stable coins. That would put Noom at its current supply at around $9.50.
Oh, nice.
Just
I think
fun
we can
math.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us about maybe a year and a half. We should be there.
Let's do it. So I think let me do one more scan, gentlemen, just to make sure we don't have any last minute questions. I always love questions, but I think y'all are a little bit shy. We gotta maybe I'll start prodding people for questions before we start. Yeah, I think that's it for this week. I don't see anything. So any parting words?
You know, I did have a parting thought, and that was kind of triggered by what Misan was saying with that Market 2.0. You know, my parting thought here is, in addition to everything, all the other reasons that we just talked about as far as why the future is bright for NumisMe, you know, there's this trend shift that does happen pretty frequently. You know, trends in DeFi do tend to change over time and pretty quickly. The next phase of DeFi is really going to be centered around what we've already identified as, you know, our mission, which is to build real world utility into a token. That next phase of DeFi is really going to be focused on projects that are centered on, you know, real commerce. And we've been working on that already. And that is, I think, just another point for excitement for us, because we're building for that next phase of DeFi, right? And we're doing it during a bear market. So in addition to everything else that's making us look bright, oh man, just wait until the trend shifts and, you know, everybody in DeFi is talking about that real world utility, that real world tie-in into traditional commerce. I think that's going to be huge. And shoot, number 3, here we go. A $10 token price isn't really out of this world, to be honest.
Yeah, no, agreed. And that real world utility is going to be needed, because so that you're not so dependent on just market conditions. Another project, I'm sure you guys are familiar with VeChain. I think they also have a certain amount of supply related real world utility, similar to what XRP and Ripple are doing, or Swift. No, not Swift. What's the XRP's other one?
Stellar, XLM.
Stellar, yeah. Those are similar, but they're on the banking structure where they're trying to basically dethrone Swift. So they are bringing some real life utility. Our real life utility that we're bringing is just phenomenal when the light bulb goes on to people. And then us having a patent pending on that concept really gives us a pioneering stage on it. But the reason I said VeChain here is, I believe Reza was telling me yesterday or something, they just signed some kind of deal with UFC. Have you guys heard of that? To become So now on all UFC fights, you'll see VeChain advertised, kind of like I think Crypto.com when they bought Staples Center.
Interesting. No, I didn't hear about that one.
Oh, no, crypto is creeping into that real life arena one way or the other.
It is.
Yeah, it's really good to see that adoption and really the exposure for mainstream on crypto. Yeah, so hey, only a matter of time before NumisMe Arena. Let's go.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Well, gentlemen, I think that brings us to the end of this Numis meeting number 2. So to everyone that's listening, or if this is the recording, thank you for your time and have a good weekend.
See you next time.
Bye, guys. Thank you.